On Thursday, December 17th, the League convened an Emerging Payment Trends Symposium featuring 3 speakers from our CU Connect community: Co-op Financial Services, FIS, and Malazai Incorporated, as well as NCUA. Speakers covered a range of topics including introduction of EMV in 2015, the implementation and value of tokenization and Apple Pay, and the introduction of e-wallets into credit union mobile strategies. NCUA rounded out the discussion addressing cybersecurity. After the session concluded, League President Paul Gentile spoke with each of the presenters.
Rob, thanks for joining us today. A lot going on in the payments world, and you guys were on top of a lot of the new developments. One of the things you talked about was the ability for a end user, a credit union member, to turn off their debit card using their mobile device and as a fraud protection. So they want to turn it off, they're not going to use it for a while, there's been a lot of data breaches. How really desirable do you think that is from a member? Do you see a lot of usage of that?
We do. First, it's important because it's part of managing behavior around payments, which is just as critical as checkout services like Apple Pay.
Sure.
About 18% of active mobile users go in and manage their card month over month. Turning it off, point of sale increases, more money out of an ATM, they're leaving the country and they need to tell their credit union about that. Right. So yeah, it's innovative. It's something credit unions can do today, yeah, and it's really embraced by the membership.
Sure. So we talked a lot about mobile wallet today. We talked a lot about Apple Pay, and there's going to be other players. One of the things you said is today Apple Pay can't be sort of baked in to the mobile solution that a credit union has. Do you think that's something that's going to come down the road? How vital do you think that is?
Well, we think it's critical. You know, the credit union should be at the center of the e-payment space. They're part of that value chain today. So they need to build things into their mobile banking app. Apple Pay doesn't allow that today. It could in the future, maybe something they decide to do. But there are plenty of other providers. We were talking about the session, CU Wallets. Is an example of a CUSO, a credit union-led organization that is about an open ecosystem that credit unions can build inside their app. So we think that's important. It's important to keep the credit union center stage when it comes to e-payments.
Yeah. Well, that's great. We appreciate you coming out, and we'll certainly be interacting with Malazai as you guys continue to do great things and help our credit unions.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Leah, thanks for joining us from Co-op. You presented a lot of great information today. You honed in on EMV, the smart chip technology, and everyone's talking about October as being the big final date where you have to be ready. But it's not really October that you have to be ready. Can you explain a little bit about what the timeline is for the credit unions?
Sure. October is really about the merchants. It's a liability shift that is the merchants have to have their equipment ready to accept EMV. And it's beneficial if the credit unions are also working towards getting their EMV cards issued as quickly as possible so that the fraudsters aren't looking at them when their cards aren't there yet, but there's still going to be fraud. EMV is not 100% fraud free.
Sure. So how many credit unions has Co-op seen move to EMV or are in the process of moving to EMV?
We actually have about 200 in the queue at this time.
Okay.
Some to be completed. We're in beta, finalizing our betas. They'll be finalized the first or second week of January, and then we'll be moving forward with the other conversions. We anticipate somewhere between 200 and 300 by the time October 15th rolls around.
Sure. And how long does a process take for a credit union to get up
It's about
to EMV?
18 weeks.
18 weeks, wow.
That includes everything from the ATM. They have to include the ATM stuff, so we didn't hit on that too much, but they need to think about their ATMs if they have ATMs, and they need to talk to their card manufacturer and vendor that issues their plastics for them. That's the big piece of making sure all of that is in place as they do this process.
Sure. And finally, you talked a little bit about today, this has existed in Europe for many years. Do you think once this is out, we're going to be a lot more secure here in the United States? We'll see less data breaches or not?
I think we're about probably 7 years out before we see a major impact to this.
Okay.
I think the breaches would not have been, EMV in place would not have prevented some of those breaches.
Okay. Well, it's a start. Well,
it is a start.
You're welcome. We appreciate Co-op support, and thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
Great. Tim, thanks for joining us from NCUA. You talked a lot about cybersecurity risks that credit unions are facing, some of the things that the agency is doing. Can credit unions expect next year to see more changes in their exam process for cybersecurity, or they be evolving over time? What do you see a credit union experiencing next year?
Credit unions can expect to see some modest changes in 2015, more increased emphasis on certain areas of the cybersecurity or information security area. We'll be working a lot on awareness within the industry, as well as developing processes for future years with our examiners and training them also.
Okay. Is there any one area you see as a big threat? I mean, we hear a lot about, websites being attacked, member data being compromised. Any really one area have your radar up?
There are several areas, I think, but it's important to understand that most breaches where there's been a malicious attack, it usually start with some type of social engineering,
right.
And it could be simply opening the wrong email.
Sure.
I think part of what we want to emphasize in our awareness campaigns is institutions should be sure that they're training their staff and keeping them aware of the situation, situationally aware, as well as their members. I think an important thing for us is, as I mentioned earlier, the resilience, which is trying to defend for 100% is the goal, but it's something that's probably not achievable.
Right.
So having a good process in place to recover from an attack is every bit as important as defending against the attack.
Sure. And finally, has the agency had to increase its knowledge in this area? How are you guys keeping up with the trends? It's changing all the time. How's the agency staying educated on this?
A number of different areas. We are collaborating significantly with our federal banking agencies, so we tap each other's resources to a certain extent. We've been hiring specialists in this area, staffing up a little bit, and we're in the process of developing kind of a development roadmap with our counterparts in the banking side to sort of float all the boats, to raise awareness levels and knowledge, both at the generalist examiner level as well as bringing up the skill sets in our specialties.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate all the great information on cybersecurity.
Thanks.
James, so we're hearing a lot about Apple Pay. A number of credit unions are in the queue to sign up for Apple Pay. You mentioned today you had one of your first ones go live, Idaho Central, on Apple Pay. How important do you think Apple Pay is going to be for the credit union system going forward?
Credit unions are absolutely going to need to be part of Apple Pay. Their customers are going to request it, their members are going to need it. They're not necessarily going to need it in the very near term. This is a long play. Customers and the adoption rate is going to take a very long time to actually have the customers get used to using the technology over actually using a plastic.
Right. So we're hearing all about Apple Pay. You mentioned some other wallets today, some that are here, some that are coming. You think we're going to have 5, 10 wallets in the future? We'll have
Yeah, absolutely. Two parts of that. One part is there will be absolutely standalone app wallets, some on Apple Pay, Google Wallet, ISIS now SoftCard, as well as a couple others. There are some opportunities, as mentioned before, to actually have a payment device inside a mobile banking app.
Sure.
So we actually believe all of these things will be prevalent. We believe that the expansion of wallets will occur, and then there will be a deflation or a contraction of all of the wallets that are actually surviving and being used from a mass adoption rate.
Sure. One of the things I would worry about is if a credit union gets their card loaded up in the wallet. Do you think there are any strategies credit unions can employ to make sure they become that top of wallet provider inside one of these mobile wallets?
Absolutely. So generally the thing that I try to promote is the fact that the product itself, the credit union's product, the fact that they're generally going to have cheaper rates, not only on DDA or also a credit card, but just the customer service aspect from a credit union over some of the larger financial institutions is a real driver, and that's what the customer is going to choose, not necessarily being able to use an Apple Pay device.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So whether it's mobile wallet, whatever it is, the fact that comes down to the credit union's value that they bring, and they've been bringing for years.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, James. I appreciate you joining us. Appreciate FIS's support today.
Thank you.
Got it.